Oh, hello, my wonderful, beautiful brothers of the wonderful, beautiful Dark Shadow Maverick Nation. Mm, I am the Dark Shadow Maverick, and it is now time for SNOWSET Part 3. Yes, Part 3 of SNOWSET, my AU slash freaking what if thing. Basically, it's an AU, but it's also a what if. Kind of the same thing with the other one I did before this, but that was like Deltarune and Undertale plus an AU. So with this, it's just an Undertale AU that I'm doing, and basically, I'm doing it in like a what if format. So yeah, it is now time for SNOWSET Part 3. And Part 3 starts off with second here. Me taking a sip of Mountain Dew. Anyways, part 3 starts off with, it's basically, seeing as, like, Chara was, like, 8 whenever they did the whole thing, like, that freed the underground. This What If Chara, the one that's good, you know, they were 8 whenever they did that. It has now been at least, like, 2 years, and that would make them 10. It's been 2 years since the whole breaking of the barrier, and that would make Chara 10. And since Frisk and Chara are basically created at the same time, that would also make Frisk 10, and Asriel is no older and no younger than Frisk, so they're 10 as well. And MK is actually younger than the three of them. MK's like 7? It was like 7 whenever like they were in the underground, and now since it's like 2 years, they'd be like 9, 1 year younger than the three, like Chara, Frisk, and Asriel. So Monster Kid, since it's been 2 years and they were 7, they would be 9. So yeah, Monster Kid is 7, and I mean, what's the shit? Brain freaking work. Monster Kid would be 9, and Chara, Frisk, and Azrael would all be 10. Well, more or less, like, Chara and Frisk would be like 10 and a half, and like freaking Azrael would be the only one who was just 10, and Chara and Frisk would be like 10 and a half, or like 10 and a quarter, either 10 and a half or 10 and a quarter. Actually, it might actually be the other way around. Actually, I'm just gonna say that they're all 10, and Monster Kid's the only one who's 9. Just to not make it so hard on my freaking head. People say I'm smart, but sometimes I really doubt that. So, yeah. Basically, all the monsters would be free, and because of the fact that, like, the children, like, that were once the 6 human souls, had vouched for them, they would have equal rights and, like, basically equal, like, citizenship, equal everything. Like, there would be no, like, distinction in between humans and monsters. At least not distinction, like a difference, like kind of like the difference that was like once like a little S word called segregation. Like there would be nothing like that. It wouldn't be like, oh, monsters have to take this part of the bus, like they have to be in this part of the bus, and humans are in this part of the bus, or there's a school or class for monsters and a school and class for humans. No, none of that segregation bullshit. Like they would have like complete equal rights. The only real difference that would be like noticeable is, well, the fact that one of them is like humans and the other one's a monster. Like they would notice that they're different kinds. There just wouldn't be like any of like the racism and segregation. That wouldn't be a thing. That wouldn't be a thing that was, a thing. Like the king of the humans would not have that. And the king of the humans would be like, and if you have a problem, you can take a hike. Because, I'm going to say about at this point, like, the current king of the humans is like the son of like, the king of the humans, who the king of the humans was around the time, like, the end of the monster human war. Around the time of that, there was a king of humans, and this time, the king of humans of this time, he's that other king of humans' son. Because the king of humans of the time of the war of humans and monsters, and like whenever like the seven mages to like seal the monsters in the underground, that king died, and he had a son, and his son is the current king of humans. And his basically the son is nowhere near as like racist and like just overall like a terrible person. So yeah, monsters would actually have it a lot better than they did whenever they were in the underground. I'm using a crackle wrapper as a freaking coaster for my Mountain Dew, just so you guys know. The freaking inside of the crackle wrapper smells like chocolate, so why not keep it around? Plus, it serves a good purpose, being a coaster for my Mountain Dew. Anyways, you know, they like the king of the humans would want to ensure that the king of the humans would want to ensure that you know all of the monsters they had equal like everything, like they were like no different than from like the monsters were no different from the humans when like concerning like rights and like how they were treated. So overall, things would be a lot better than how they used to be for both sides. And the only real like distinguishment would be the fact that if there was a human and if there was a monster, you'd be able to tell because humans and monsters, obviously do look different. That's the only like real distinguishment. But, you know, if you try to take that, distinguish it, and turn it into an insult or like a racial slur of some sort, take a freaking hike because the current king of humans ain't gonna have that. Because the current king of humans, unlike the king of humans before, isn't an asshole. He's not an asshole. He's actually a decent person. And when Asgore like figures all this out, he's telling Tori, it's like that scene in Prince of Egypt where you just have the music in the background and you have to interpret what Moses is telling. Like it's just like he like I saw God. He's like trying to tell him like he saw God and like what God told him to do and like all that shit. Like I don't know if that part was in, but you know, it's kind of like that because like Toriel is just like having the freak out moment, kind of like the whole thing with Moses whenever he was like pronouncing about God to his, you know, Hebrew family. It's just it's really freaking crazy. And so basically whenever Asgore tells Tori everything and Tori eventually tells Azrael everything, like first Asgore tells Tori, then Toriel tells Azrael, and Azrael is like, Frisk, you gotta know this. We we are good. We are friends with the humans. The humans don't hate us anymore. Like Azrael is just really excited. Like and everyone is just happy. Like everyone is just really happy. But as for like non-royalty, like the common folk, well, first of all, seeing as there's no like royal guard, or like at least the royal guard is different, like you know, there isn't like a monster royal guard and a human royal guard. It's just a royal guard. So Undyne is like, gotta, yeah, has to swallow that pill because you know she's been so used to like, you know, the whole thing that Asgore's telling her to like, you know, the offing of the humans. So she kind of has to swallow the pill of, will they accept me after everything I've done? She kind of has to bite the bullet and you know just like apply anyways. You know, if they don't like her, like I guess she would be fine. Like the only thing really like getting on Undyne's nerves here is like actually being kind of nervous. Like, will they accept me because of the fact that she is actually worried about that because she doesn't know if they'll accept her after everything that she's done, after all of the humans that she's killed or assisted in their death. Because, you know, Asgore did some of that too. You know, it wasn't all just Undyne. Asgore also, you know, took care of it too. And so it's just like, whenever she's accepted with open arms, and they're like, you know, the peace in between our races, like, the humans don't want to start another war. The monsters don't want another war. No, neither side wants war. Like, surprising to Undyne, she thought all humans were bad. And, well, now not only has Chara shown her that not all humans are bad, plus Frisk has also shown her that, because, you know, Frisk is just really nice to everyone. Basically, these people that just accepted her in, even after everything that she did whenever she was in the underground, and you know, taking orders from Asgore as the captain of that royal guard, they're just taking her in, and it's no problem with them. It's like, and basically the captain, like the current captain of like the royal guard that used like basically that person explains that, well, you see, we don't want another war. Basically, they just explain they don't want another war. And they're like they are like, even though, you know, the whole thing about assuming, they're just assuming that Undyne and Undyne's, you know, people like, you know, the people that she's supposed to serve and like even the king and queen, they probably don't want another war. And well, the person who was ruling at the time which all that happened isn't the same person that's ruling now. So, yeah. And they also realize the error of their ways, so, because some of the people that were serving back then are still serving right now. And remember, I said some of the people, not all of the people, just some of the people. Like some of the humans. Not all of them, just some of them are still serving. And, they realize the error of their ways, the whole war thing, the whole fighting, it's not good. It ends up with people with broken homes, and some people just end up having the worst end of it. And the humans, they realize monsters really are the kinder kind. Like, the humans are just like the humans basically are just like this human royal guard person just ends up like saying this to Undyne. The king of your land, they're right all along. Monsters, they are the ones with kindness. For so many years, we have been so cruel. We should be the ones asking you for forgiveness after all of the hurt and pain and suffering and misery we caused you. Please, will you accept our forgiveness? We understand if you don't feel like it. We understand wholeheartedly. She's even like bowing to Undyne. Like this lady who was the captain of like the human royal guard, like before the monsters like broke the barrier and like got themselves into society. Like she's just like bowing to Undyne. She's like waiting for an answer. Like she's also like you don't have to answer, but it'd be nice an answer. Well, you don't have to. At least not right now. But if you don't want to answer at all, that's fine too. And Undyne was not expecting this amount of kindness from humans, but maybe maybe the king is their people, like a representation of their people. Maybe a kind king means a kinder people. A kinder king means a kinder civilization of people. And when Undyne finally like realizes that, she's like, if the king is kind and the people are, does that mean? And basically, Undyne just comes to the end all be all realization of these humans are nothing like the previous humans. They are a kind people. They hate the the past, their past. They hate it wholeheartedly. And just Undyne comes to realize these humans are nothing like the former humans. They are a good people. And Undyne just finally, whenever they come up to the whenever she comes up to this realization, she's like, "Well, before I say anything, I gotta call someone." And basically, Undyne calls up Alphys, and basically she can barely talk. Undyne can like barely talk, like the realization that just hit her in the head, like a freaking brick wall, like an 18-wheeler. And like whenever Alphys is being told all of this, and she's like Alphys was like, she was about to call Undyne to tell her about how kind all of the scientists are. Like Alphys is no longer like the royal scientist of the underground, so she basically picked up a position as a scientist in a part of the human world. So, and that's how she figured out the humans were kind. Like these new, like this new age of humans. These newer humans, you know, it's just this revelation of like these humans of this new age. They are actually kind, decent people, and both Alphys and Undyne like basically understanding this finally, like getting this revelation into their heads, like getting this smacked into their heads like a freaking again like a freaking 18-wheeler. They're both freaking shell shocked as hell. But eventually Undyne does apply to be basically a very big like position in the Royal Guard. And Undyne's like, what do you mean a very big position? And basically the human captain person is like, well, I mean, if humans and monsters are supposed to live together, we could always, tweak the system a little bit. From now on, there will be not just a human captain of the Royal Guard or a monster captain of the Royal Guard. There will be both, and we will live together in harmony, protecting our people. And Undyne is just like, holy shit, I get to work like alongside this lady. There are like two different Royal Guard captains. Like this is so awesome. This is like anime. This is like totally anime. Like like the freaking awesome like joining of sides to fight the evil. Like this is so totally like anime that you told me you were watching. Like that Mew Mew 3, like wasn't it like Mew Mew 3? Oh, please don't watch any more of it. I need to be there. We need to both be there. I don't want to miss out. And Alphys is like, oh, Undyne, you know I would never do that to you. Plus, the same thing happened with me. I got a position as a, uh, a co-op scientist. The human scientist wants me to like help them at the same level. And just basically that with them and basically so that's their lives and that's Asgore and Toriel's lives. You know, basically Asgore, Toriel, they're a family again, which means Azriel and Frisk are a thing. Like they basically live together. It's just like, well, who else? It's like Mettaton is just like, well, indeed, I shall entertain the humans. Like Mettaton's like has his own freaking TV show. It's like MTTTV. No, it should be MTTV. MTTV. Yes, that cringy of a name shall be the name of Mettaton's TV show. He's like, lights, camera, glamour, and action. Lights, camera, bloodshed, glamour, and action. And it's just like, everyone just like freaking loves Mettaton. Like, humans and monsters alike just freaking love Mettaton. And so, yeah, that would be Mettaton's life. As a star of the freaking surface. Like, even in the underground, he was a star, but now he's a star of the surface. And that's whenever we would, go off and like, Muffet would still be doing her spider bake sale thing, but, she would also expand to other, like, types of things because, not everyone is interested in, like, that kind of food. So, in order to still have a working business, there would have to be something done. and that's where she would sort of like meet up with Burger Pants, and Caddy and Bratty would still be themselves. That is until Muffet lets out her pet and basically, yeah, chases after them. Like the pet chases after them. Like get the frick like out of my sight. You thoughts. And then after that, basically, I think that's mostly everyone. Like Blue Key would be a part of Marathon's show because they're freaking cousins. Oh, and plus Shiren, would is also part of their thing because in Undertale that was a thing. Like Shiren was supposed to be like a part of their thing. Basically, Napstablook, freaking Metaton, and Shiren had their own little gig there. And now they have a gig at the surface world. And so, yeah, the only thing I think we haven't explored yet is indeed the lives of our favorite skelly friends and Chara. Basically, like, how would life be for them? Well, it's been 2 years of peace in the surface, and now it's like the human, Chara's like it's like 10th birthday, and so seeing as it's also Frisk and Azrael's 10th birthday, and it's like Monster Kid's like ninth birthdays, that would have already happened, and Chara would just be like, man, turning double digits really just change you in unexpected ways. Now, I like new things, and I feel different, too. I feel, I feel more grown up. Not too grown up to like little or kid things, but not too not grown up to be all interested in it completely. There are some grown up things that I like, and there are some more little kid type things that I like. I'm not too old and I'm not too young for anything. I'm just me. And she would just look in a mirror and she would just be like, despite everything, I'm still me. I'm still Shara Gaster. And, Papyrus would just be like, Shara, I hear you monologuing to yourself in your room. Now come eat the delicious papyrus spaghetti. Oh, it's going to get cold. And Shara's just like, huh? Perhaps spaghetti? Uh, okay, of course. Just let me get washed up. Okay, you know how Dad is about that. And Char is actually thinking in her head, yeah, he is a certain way about that. Like, he's too lazy to actually get a natural bed for himself, but, whenever it comes to me washing up before food, he he's actually kind of scary. But, Dad just says he's trying to take care of me. I guess I'm not too old enough to move out. Definitely not too old for like. I'm definitely not too old for that. And she's just finishing and drying off like that, and she's just walking down the halls like, oh, everything looks like it's getting finished. Oh, sounds like a little bit delay. Iris, your spaghetti, it smells delicious. And she's just thinking in the back of her head, like, man, that's right. Uncle Pap, he really is learning how to make his spaghetti edible. And not only that, but actually craveable too. Yeah, it actually smells like something I might like to eat. Especially if Dad lets me put the special goodness sauce on it. And basically, like Santa's right behind them. Uh, my special daughter of mine. What you thinking about? And Charles just like, ah! And almost knocks over the ketchup. And Santa's like, oh shit! And just catches the ketchup. And Charles like, ah, good save. And actually, I was thinking about that. Mind if I? And Santa's like, can you do it yourself without spilling? And Chara's like, okay, fine. I still want it, but you can still do it. And Papyrus is just like off in the corner. It's like, nah. I was thinking my spaghetti didn't need any of that sauce that you constantly talking about putting on my spaghetti. And Chara's like, oh, no doubt that your spaghetti's probably very good, but, you know, the special sauce always makes it oh so much better. I mean, how could it not? It's Dad's special sauce. And Papyrus is like, technically it's grilled beef, but I'm not going to tell Chara that. I don't want her going anywhere near that place. Sans is always going there and it's greasy and disgusting and bleh. And Chara's like, Uncle Pap, are you okay? Like, do I need to perform CPR again? Like, scale of CPR? And Papyrus is just like, uh, no, your Uncle Papyrus is very fine. And and Sans is just like, yeah, your Uncle Pap is, I don't think he ever needs anything like that to happen to him again. No offense, but you kind of went a little bit too overboard, if you know what I mean. Like, ching. And Charles like, I don't even think that was a joke, but whatever. And Papyrus is just like, well, indeed, let us all dig in. And Chara is actually like holding in like she's just like sitting still there for a sec. And she has like the fork in her mouth and basically Papyrus is like, well, how was it? And Sansa's like, yeah, Chara, like, how, what was it? And, like, Chara's like, uh, uh, uh Uncle, Pyrus, your spaghetti's amazing! What did you do? And Papyrus is just like, well, for once I didn't follow Undyne's cooking lessons. I was wondering if that's no offense to Undyne, but I was wondering if that might have been the problem. Yeah, well, with how aggressive she is. Turns out you don't need to pound the noodles. You need to stir them very gently and with great care. Undyne is so aggressive, though, that I don't think she would ever do anything like that. So, at least now it's edible? And Chara's like, screw edible, it's amazing! And Sens is like, well, looks like, should I break the ice to Undyne, or should you, since you're the one who made the dish? And Papyrus is like, well, you're the one who was able to defend yourself last time Undyne got aggressive. And Sans is just like, well, I don't think she'll get that way over spaghetti. Trust me, Pap. I think it'll be just fine. And Chara's just like, okay. Well, either of you pick your poison. I guess that's what we're going for here. And Sans is like just picks like Chara up and is like, no, what you're going for, seeing as how fast you finish off that dish of spaghetti, is a bath. And Chara's like, what? I don't need you to carry me. And Sans is like, oh, you're right, you don't. And he's just like, Blue Soul. And Chara's like, hey, I thought you said you weren't going to do that ever again. You promised. And Sans is like, hey, I don't remember making a promise like that. And Papyrus is like, I don't really like going against you, Sans, like about things like this, but you did. It was on the same day Chara's, 10th birthday. You promised you would never blue soul them again because of how fragile their soul is. Technically, excuse me, one. Technically, just like Frisk and Azrael, they only have 20 HP. And Sansa just like, well, it's just to the, you know, and back. And Char's like, oh, hell no, not that. Oh, uh, and Sansa's like, you're grounded, kid. Grounded all the way, do you know what? And he's like, well, you may not be grounded to there, but you're grounded to your room. No dessert. And like Papyrus is like, well, don't you think the whole no dessert thing is a little bit harsh? And Synth is like, Pap, they're already going to be taking a bath. I don't think they need dessert. And Papyrus is just like, oh yes, you're right. And Chara is just like, oh no. And basically just after they get out of the bath, it's just like straight to their room. And then basically they go to sleep. And the next time we basically there's a time skip because basically that's how most mornings go, except for like the grounding part. Like Sans really didn't feel like putting in the effort of grounding them for like a few days or whatever. Yeah, Sans did not even have the effort to ground them for more than one day. And that was like the tail end of the day. That was like the night part of the day. It's just like we just like time skip, and we're gonna pull. I'm gonna pull a little bit of a My Hero Academia like type time skip, and just like say like it's when they're 15, because technically I've heard before that that's the start of the anime. Whenever like Izuku's 15, I've heard before that that's whenever the anime technically does start, or at least like get going. So we're gonna do a time skip, like since like Chara's like 10, so like 5 year time skip. It's just mostly the same thing over and over again. So yeah, 5 year time skip. And Chara is just, they're a teenager and well, they go to school and like Frisk and Azrael go to school, and since there's no segregation, well, also MK goes to school. Like since there's no segregation or like racism of any kind, you know, they're able to be on the same bus as like other humans and other monsters. So, yeah, that's not really a problem. So, yeah, they all go to the same school and technically the same class as well. And basically, they're always asking each other how their days went. And Frisk and Azrael would always say the same thing, like, "Oh, perfectly fine." Like, and really nothing much. Their day would just basically be a normal, everyday, boring day. Just not much excitement except for whenever someone like another monster friend like Undyne. Like mostly whenever Undyne comes around, like it gets crazy as shit. And that would be Frisk and Azrael's response, like mostly boring, but whenever so and so comes around, that's whenever it actually gets kind of exciting. So yeah, that's most like their response. And well, whenever it comes to Monster Kid, MK, bleh, my voice died out there for a second. Whenever it comes to Monster Kid, MK, not Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat. Whenever it comes to their day, like, well, uh, my sister is her usual self. That's basically the only thing that MK really brings up is how much of a difficult day his sister can give him. And whenever it comes to Chara, like whenever like Frisk, Azrael, and MK ask Chara about their day, basically Chara reports with a large amount of puns being thrown every which way. Like, and by that I mean like she's actually just every answer she gives is a pun. Either that or there's a pun in it. It's either the answer itself is a pun or there's a pun inside the answer. Because, her dad is freaking Sans the skeleton. So, it would kind of be drilled into her head, puns like nature, nurture, that kind of thing. She would basically just like have it drilled into her head. Like it would be something that would just stick, be something that she would probably do even without even knowing that she did it. Like she'd probably like say a pun without even knowing that she said it. And actually, that's kind of been the case a couple times. But whenever eventually like one of her friends, like Azrael, Frisk, or MK, would like repeat it to her, like the pun that she supposedly said, Chara would just like crack. She'd be like laughing, like her ass off, like, wait, I'm that hilarious? Like, she'd just be giggling herself to near death every time she like got that, like that happened. Like, yeah. But there would also be some times when it would be like, oh, well, it would basically be something to do with Papyrus because, he's also there. Like, her Uncle Pappy, her Uncle Pappy Pyrus is what she calls him most of the time. Uncle Pappy Pyrus. And, it would just be that way for a certain amount of time. They'll be like 15 and they'd just be going to school. And, it would just be normal teenage angst. Or at least for like some of them. Like, for example, MK, like, would have his teenage angst going on because, he's really just getting tired of his sister just ruining his day constantly. So, he finally just gets the spine to actually, go and volunteer for, like, the Royal Guard. Because it's still a thing. So it basically, just says, I'm finally gonna do it. I've had enough. I'm gonna do it. And as for Azrael and Frisk, Azrael actually admits that he's started a, what do they call it? What do these humans call it? YouTube? He admits that he started a YouTube channel and that he's actually pretty popular. The only one who's really like like there only seem to be three people that have skyrocketed above him in like popularity whenever it comes to him doing what he does. As like Metaton would be obvious. And it's just like Metaton, that's obvious. Basically, that's what like Chara says, like, well, it's obvious, of course he would do that, like skyrocket above anybody who tried to compete with him. And then like the next person is like, well, the next person's your uncle. And Chara's like, well, he has always wanted to be popular, popular, popular. Like Chara would just say it in that way, like such an asinine way, like popular, popular, popular. Who is the third individual? And Azrael's just like, well, that's just the thing. The their name, well, their channel name doesn't seem to be anything that really. It either does, but in a weird way, or doesn't like at all. Like seem to be anything involved like with their actual like like and be involved with anything concerning their actual name. Unless you consider people wanting to associate themselves with bots, which are probably like most of the problems whenever it comes to YouTube. The creators of YouTube thinking that people are bots. This person, apparently their YouTube username is VanillaBot. And it's like, genre is just like, VanillaBot? Huh. And Azrael's like, technically it's not VanillaBot, it's actually at VanillaBot 2001. And Char's just like, at VanillaBot 2001? Who the frick names their channel that? Well, whoever this person is, they're more popular than you? Like, in doing what you do? And Azur's like, well, I'm not exactly sure. Like, whenever I tried to get on their channel, uh, for some reason my internet doesn't seem to allow me to do that. Or something to do with either his or my account, or his or her, I don't know. This just is like a at VanillaBox 2001 person. I think they're trying to play a game with me. And whenever they do anything that involves them using their voice, it's always with some sort of voice changer, or at least that I'm familiar with. Almost like they don't want people to hear their real voice. And Chara's just like, so, there's some weird ass internet troll who is too scared to actually play with the big boys. If I find this person, I'm gonna get him. And then eventually, 3 more years. Actually, no, not 3 more years. Sharon actually does end up going after, trying to find this person, but she never lets it be known to Sans or Papyrus. She's always like sneaking out in the like middle of some time whenever they're not at home, or whenever they're at home but like doing something that would require their full attention to be on something else or someone else. And so Chara can sneak away without being noticed. But the first time they do this, they end up coming across what looks to be like an old, underground, like, sentry station. Which seems odd. I mean, why would there be a sentry station, like, first of all, out here? And why does it look like one of the underground ones? Like the ones that the monsters would use. This this seems way too off. And all of a sudden, like someone will just pop their head like, boop, and then be like, huh? I'm sleeping here. Somebody, uh, uh, who the hell are you? I'm doing something here. And basically, Char looks over and sees that there's like a computer, and he's like typing away something, and he's like also recording something while he's typing away, like editing a video or something. Like basically doing YouTube video stuff is basically what I'm trying to say. And like Chara can see the name of the channel, and it's the name of the channel that Azrael couldn't figure out who it was. And Chara's like, "You, uh, Dad?" And the person is just like, "What? Do I look like your dad?" They just like perk up at this, like, "Wait, lady, do I look like your dad?" And then Chara does realize, like, the person, like one of their eyes is glowing, but usually we're like all of the time, whenever you know Sans eye glows, it glows blue. But this person's like their eye is like glowing red. And also he has like a red medallion like chain necklace. And another thing is like the medallion is like a red swirly type medallion. And this dude is like wearing a black shirt, and over it he's wearing like a white jacket, like a white fur coat, jacket, whatever kind of thing that Sans wears. and like he has like freaking black pants with like white stripe going down, and he's wearing white freaking slippers with like the bottoms are like black, and like they actually have like a holster of some kind, like some sort of like scabbard or something, where like they keep some sort of weapon, and it's on one of their sides, like their left side, and it's like a scabbard for like a sword. And this person definitely indeed is a skeleton. You know, like Chara can tell, and not just by the freaking eye, but the teeth are like skeleton. Well, teeth are bones regardless, but has like that sans type look. Like obviously, it's like it's unmistakable. It's like this, whatever they are, they're definitely not only a monster, but they are definitely a skeleton. A weird looking skeleton, and possibly very dangerous looking skeleton, and possibly just very dangerous at all, but they are still a freaking skeleton. And they look really similar to their dad, really similar to Sans, but also not similar at all because of all the things I just mentioned, like the color differences and the fact of the medallion thing, like the medallion necklace, the medallion on the necklace, and the whole like sword to their side, like on their side, and like the fact that the flame isn't blue, it's red, that comes out of the eye, and like the eyelight in general, like the outline of like the inner eyelight is like red. So this guy, like, Chara had heard her father, that's what Chara like knows, like Sanzaz, like her dad. Like her dad had talked about like other dimensions or universes, like timelines before. Like there's even a quantum physics book that has other quantum physics books inside of it. Like an endless quantum physics book, like freaking endless amounts of them inside of other endless amounts of them. So he even has that shit, and he like has like trash tornadoes, and like he can mess with it like the people are on like treadmills, and so yeah, Chara knows that Sans knows about the fact that there are other universes like out there like AUs, and so basically Chara's like, which one are you? And Vanilla's just like, yes, I'm saying it right there. I slipped and slipped of the tongue. Vanilla. Vanilla is just like, what do you mean? And Char is just like, which AU? There are other AU Sanses. Which one are you? Which version are you of my dad? And then this, like Vanilla is just like, your dad? Listen, kid. You do know it's not good to take drugs, right? And Chara is just like, and you are about to end up dead unless you tell me. And she's just summoning like the red soul magic knives. Like they're not real knives, but they're like red soul magic created knives. And this Vanilla's like, Fine, seeing as I can't seem to turn back into extra vanilla, I guess this will have to be good enough. I am vanilla. I am Vanilla Sans. And you, little squirt, are red now. It's like, bing! And just, like, throws Chara up into the air. And just like, wah! And just like, right before they hit the ground, just like, all of a sudden they're in their room. It's like, wait, what the? That call himself Vanilla Sans? Well, Vanilla Sans, I will not give up till you tell me everything I want to know. And so, it's just basically the first time they meet, this first time that they meet is whenever like Chara's 15 and each year, each time they like like grow older a year, like 16, 17, and they basically meet up with Vanilla again. Like rather it be like on purpose or by accident. And Vanilla just ends up becoming he's just like, ugh, kid, I'm probably gonna show up by now. Been doing it before. 15 years old, 16 years old, 17 years old. They're 18 years old now. So, and then it's basically shing, and it's like cuts open the roof of the sentry station, and Char falls through and slams into Vanilla Sands, and there's basically this bottom compartment on the floor of the inner sentry station, and basically they fall down, and there's a room, a door that Char sees, and it's like, what the hell is this? Basically, Vanilla Sense is go in there. That's technically where I actually do live. I decided that I should, renovate if I'm going to stay here. I don't seem to have enough power to do things like I used to do them before, and I can't even turn back into the form I prefer. And stuff like this. And Chara's basically just explain everything now. And Vanilla is just fine, but I want to be comfortable whenever I'm explaining everything to you. I want to be comfortable whenever I'm explaining everything to you. And it's just so basically they both go in, and Vanilla Sen's just I'm the only one who has the actual key to the room, so you're gonna have to wait for me. Dust myself off. You got me dirty, kid. Hmm. Okay. And then he just shoves the sword in the keyhole and just turns it, and it's now we should be good. And Char is just wait, you can use that sword as the keyhole for the keyhole, and Vanilla's just wrong, kiddo. Sword is the key to this room. This sword, serpiente. Spanish for either snake or serpent. So, as you can see, basically just opens the room up completely. Very cozy room now, isn't it? So, yeah. Sit down anywhere. I even won't mind if you want to sit down on the floor. Actually, there are some times whenever I prefer the floor. And he just sits down on a lazy boy, props his legs up, like the thing on the side where, like, if you know, direct it in a certain way, like props the legs up, and he's just like, okay, where is the hot cocoa? And there's like a cup of hot cocoa just appears like in Vanilla's hands, and then a cup of hot cocoa just appears like on like a coffee table that's next to Chara, and Chara's like, with or without marshmallows? And like Vanilla's like, marshmallows, please. The kid wants to be given the choice. And well, basically, it's just like Vanilla just ends up spelling the beans about everything, and the fact that now, he can't, you know, turn into his more favorable form, like his more favored form, like the one that he likes more, just overall. He just says everything. Even how, whenever he ended up here, he had no idea what was going on, no idea, like, what had happened to his friends, and like his friend and his, well, pretty much adopted son. And well, Chara, hearing this, is like, wait, you had an adopted son and your friend? Uh, well, what about your friend and your adopted son? Did you ever figure anything out? And Vanilla's like, sadly, yes. I figured out my friend is no longer, well, at least I would hope his soul is at peace, and that error guy doesn't have his hands on it, or his strings, or whatever. I just hope for his soul to be at peace. It's really most of the much that I know. Most of what I know is that and something else. Thank you. And Charles like, what else do you know? And like Vanilla's like, I really don't want to have to tell anyone about this. It's not gonna make things worse. But if I have to, seeing as I'm stuck here, well, I know that my adopted son, there's a good probability that he's still in one piece. Now, like I said, a good probability. That's why it's so hard for me to even admit to knowing it. I wasn't given the full story because the full story really wasn't out yet. At least not out to here. Wherever here is. Whatever universe this is. I just miss them. I know I can't have them both back, but I just really I was a terrible father. I I just want him back, but knowing my luck, that will never ever happen. And Chara is just like, uh, are, are you crying? Don't cry. Listen, the several of the things that you have explained to me, including how basically everything happened with most of your history, even before D.S.M. Well, the other one, your history even before that, you shouldn't let this keep you down. For all any of us know, there is still a way for you to be happy. And Vanilla's just like, how do I know it won't be taken away from me just like everything else? And Chara's like, well, um, uh, there is one thing. I know that I came here and, this place is yours and I probably shouldn't be asking anything of you, but I want, well, I plan on eventually telling my dad and uncle about you, and eventually, since they would know, it wouldn't be that big of a surprise if you were to come over to our house. Monsters and humans are free and all, and we were even able to do it in a way that didn't involve any more murder. And basically, Vanilla Sense is just like, no more murder. And humans, monsters, monsters are free to live with humans in peace. And you want me to, you, you want me to meet your father and your uncle to meet. You want me to meet them? Your family? When? I at least want to know when if you're going to drag me into this. And freaking Chara is just like, well, I guess whenever I come up with something, I guess, if you were to give me your number and me give you my number, I could call you up about it whenever I have an idea. And Vanilla's just like, fine and dandy. Call me up about it, she says. Fine. And well, that does eventually happen. They exchange numbers. And Chara, realizing just how late it is in the day, races back as fast as she can. That is until she remembers, wait, Dad taught her, about shortcuts. And then before she can completely remember everything, She's like, oh shit, that's right. He didn't teach me everything. And she ends up shortcutting into a wall. The wall to the wall to her Uncle Papyrus's room. More not really the wall, but the door to his room. And well, Sans has to work his magic in order to get her out. And eventually it's explained to Papyrus and Sans, you know, freaking Chara does all the explaining, like about, found this other skeleton, you know, and it's just like he's a guy, and it'd be really nice to, you guys to get to meet him, and you know, we can, it's just something, and basically Sans is like, he's just like, you don't even know all that much about him except for what he's told you. And Pyrus is just like, Sans, mm, this is something that it's not like it just happened by choice. It's not like Chara chose for this to happen. So maybe we should just give her some space to talk it out with the other skeleton. And Chara is like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you guys. He said his name was Vanilla Sans. And Sans is like, wait. He's another Sans? Sans from another universe? And, Chara's just like, yeah, but he's stuck here. It's pretty late, so I should probably go to sleep. And so basically, Sans and Papyrus are just left to contemplate this one out. Like, shit, he is going, they're going to meet another Sans. And, Chara might possibly really like this other Sans. And, well, if you guys are wondering what Vanilla's contemplating about now, it's like, well, now that girl is gone, that cute, uh, nice girl. Wait, what? What did I just say? Cute? Nice? What about her is nice? What about her is cute? Except for her eyes, her, uh, her hair, her voice. Damn it, you can't even see sound. So why would I call her voice cute? That doesn't even make any logical sense. And cute and nice. What about what she did was nice? What about that was nice? Ugh, is it? Ugh, damn it, Vanilla. What have you got yourself into now? It's just gonna be like what happened with those two. It's just gonna happen again and again and again and again if you just keep on letting these things happen. Ugh. Oh my god. What did I do to deserve this? Basically, that's probably where I should end it because it's like an hour and like 19 minutes long. So yeah, Alan, Downs, Darkson Maverick is OUT out of here. Ya boys, bye.